Hello and welcome to my creative space. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Welcome to another DIY video. If you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe and join this creative squad. For today's video, I have 4 easy and quick farmhouse decor ideas that are perfect for summer. If you're excited to see how I created them, let's get started. For my first DIY, I'm taking this Dollar Tree sign, this canvas, these Jenga blocks, some scraps of wood, the star of the show, this faucet, some white and black paint or a marker. And I am going to start by grabbing my sign and removing the hanger. And then I will proceed to grab my spackling and fill in the little holes because I don't want to see them. Once I have them ready to go, I sand it down just to make sure everything is nice and smooth. Now I'm going to take my acrylic white paint and I am going to be painting this sign. I don't think I showed this in the video, but eventually I end up painting the back as well. While that dries, I'm going to take my canvas and I am only going to be using the frame off of this. So I am removing this sheet and I am using this rolling tool that I picked up from the Dollar Tree that works pretty good. Okay, usually removing the staples is not a problem at all, but these ones were very hard to remove, so I end up just leaving that alone. Okay, now I'm moving on to grabbing my scraps of wood. Here, you can use another canvas, which I didn't have, or you can use all Jenga blocks. I used these 2 scraps of wood that came from actually a canvas that I had used in the past, and then I just fill in the sides with some Jenga blocks, and as you can see, I had to cut them down to fit that little space. Once that was done and glued into place, I took this other flat canvas that I found in my stash and I am going to be gluing that to the bottom so I can have basically a bottom for this box. And you can use anything you like, some cardboard or even some Jenga blocks if you like. I just wanted to use this because that's all I had. Now I fill in the little spaces on the sides with some hot glue and there we have it. Now I am also going to be painting this in white, so I'm grabbing my acrylic white paint and painting this whole box in this color. Now I'm going back to the sign and I am going to be creating some shiplap. So I am dividing this sign into 4 and I will be taking this wooden piece to create the lines because this was long enough. And so yeah, I did that. And then I went and grabbed the ruler. I don't know why I didn't use the same wood piece. But anyway, I used that and then this marker, which I don't end up loving because it ends up looking like grayish bluish and I don't love it, so I go back in there with some black paint and I go over the lines and I like it way better. Now it's time to take my little box and I decided to distress it. Now I do feel like I went a little bit overboard, so I do go back in there with a sanding sponge. And I also know that distressing is not for everybody, but I kind of wanted to do a contrast between this box and the back of this piece, so that's why I decided to do that. But I do feel like I went overboard, so like I said, I went back with a sanding sponge and kind of sand it down, and then I also grabbed a little bit of white paint until I had it how I wanted it. And now it's time to move on to the start of this show, and it's this old faucet. Yes, it is. Okay, so here's the story. I've been wanting to recreate this for a very long time. I had seen this idea on Pinterest, and I don't know why, I just love this so much, and I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. I've been meaning to pick up a faucet from the store, but I kept forgetting. So one day my husband came in and he was like, "Look what I got you." And I was like, oh my gosh. So I was so excited that I was able to do this now. And so I took that sign, created a circle on it, then I took it outside, grabbed my drill, drilled the hole, and then I went in there with a sanding sheet just back and forth a few times, but until the hole was big enough. A oval, so I kind of fill in with some hot glue and then it was ready to go. Okay, now I am going to grab my little box and glue it to my piece, and I just use hot glue for that. And now that is done, now I am going to be styling this with this Dollar Tree bucket that I picked up, and I was so excited when I saw it because it's so cute. I glued some floral foam and then I just added some green greenery inside, and I just love how this turned out. It's one of my favorite in this video. But now that that is done, here is the end result. And how cute is this piece? Am I the only one that loves this? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. For my next DIY, I'm taking 2 of these cute little lanterns from the Dollar Tree, this wooden dowel, this smaller wooden dowel that came from Dollar Tree, and this scrap of wood. Now, I'm starting with my scrap of wood, and it has some paint on it, so I'm just going to sand it down so it's smooth when I go to paint it. Now, I'm taking my thicker wooden dowel, and I'm trying to figure out how long I want this to be, or I guess how tall I want this to be. Once I figure it out, I'll take a pencil and I'll trace it on the wooden dowel, and I will take it outside and cut this down with a hacksaw. Once that is done, I am going to come back inside, and I am going to figure out exactly where I need to be drilling the holes to sit these wooden dowels. So I'm taking my ruler and I'm trying to do the best as I can. And let me tell you, they are not going to be straight. That's just the reality because I'm not perfect. But anyway, as you can see, I moved to the edge of the table because I had better control. And then I took a wooden dowel, make sure it fit. And now I have both of them ready to go. Now I'll take my skinnier wooden dowel and measured it, cut it, and then I will create a hole in these thicker wooden dowels so the skinnier one can fit in there. Now that that is done, it's time to put everything together. So I'm going to start with the thicker wooden dowels, and I will glue them with some hot glue on both sides. Now I'll take the skinnier one and I will glue that in place as well. And that is that. And now it's time to move on to painting, and I'm taking my acrylic white paint and I will paint this whole thing in white. And now I'm taking my little lanterns, removing the tags, and then I'm also removing the little rings off of these. They're like keychain rings. I'm not sure what these were for, but I'm gonna remove them. And I found this super cute ribbon that has lemons on it, and I thought it was perfect. And now I cut it and I burned the end. That way I can run it through the little hole. Otherwise, I thought it was gonna be hard, but it worked for me. So there's that. Now, once I figure out how long I need this ribbon to be, I'll cut it and I'll cut both pieces and run them through the little lantern. And now it's time to put all the pieces together. So I'll take my first little lantern and create a couple of knots, and then I'll create a little bow. And I would say tie it how you would tie your shoes. That's the best I can do to explain it. Once that little bow is so cute, I'll take my scissors and dovetail the ends, and then I will take my lighter to burn the edges again, and that way they don't come unravel. And here is a picture of the end result. I love how cute these little lanterns turned out, and I love the pop of color. For my next DIY, I took these 2 Dollar Tree signs, and I will remove the hangers off of these because to me they look like books, and that is exactly what I'm going for. Now I'll take my acrylic white paint and I will give these signs a couple of coats of this. That way everything is covered up. Now that they are dried, I'm going to be taking them and I'm going to personalize them. So here I cut some words with my best friend's Cricut machine, but the Dollar Tree does sell stickers and some what are they called? The rub-on stickers, which work really good. For mine, I'm going to be stacking these, and I want one to say love and the other one lives here. And to give it a little bit of color, I am going to be using the exact same lemon ribbon I picked up from Dollar Tree, which is super cute, and I wish I would have picked up more because I basically used all of it in these DIYs. But anyway, that's side note. Okay, so once I glue these together, this is what they look like, and I love them. Now I decided to add a little bow on top, and it's a very simple bow. I wish I had a thicker ribbon, but I didn't. So that's what I'm going to be using, just the same ribbon, and create a little bow. And I tie it how I would tie my shoes basically again. And then I'll glue it into place. I'll dovetail the ends, and this completes the project. Now here is the end result. I love how these fall books turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. For my next DIY, I'm taking this Dollar Tree sign and I'm going to paint both sides in the color white. Now I'm repurposing this one from a past project, so that's why this one is already painted, but I'm going back in there and just making sure everything is nice and white. Now that that is done, I'm taking my ruler and I'm going to be creating some shiplap. So I'll take this marker. I originally started using this marker, which I do finish marking with this, but the marker did not want to do it in this paint. So I end up going back in there with some black paint and a brush. Now the lines are not perfect anymore, but that did not bother me. If it bothers you, then just use a marker. Now I decided that I also wanted some vertical lines and make it look more like shiplap. So I went in with some black paint and started creating some lines. And again, these are not going to be perfectly made, but that's what I decided to do. Now I do mess up a little bit and I have to go back in there with some white paint to kind of fix that, but this is what it's looking like so far. Now for my sign, I decided I wanted this to say "This is us." So I printed some words with my best friend's Cricut machine and then I just stick them onto this sign. Now you could use Dollar Tree stickers again, or if you have pretty writing, then you can write it yourself. I don't, which is why I need some letters printed for me. Okay, now I'm going to take this ribbon that I picked up from the Dollar Tree and it's burlap ribbon and I really like it. And I'm going to create a simple bow, and I'm going to also be taking this lemon ribbon that I love so much, and I'm going to be creating another little bow. Now you can leave it here, but I decided to add this other burlap ribbon that has some hint of white, like a zigzag, and I cut 3 pieces and kind of stacked them together. And I glued those 3 pieces together, and after that I glue them onto the bigger bow, and then I'll glue the lemon bow right on top, and that is basically almost done. Now I'll take another strip of the burlap ribbon and I'll glue that into the middle to glue everything together. And now I'm just going to dovetail the ends, and you know the drill, just burn the edges, and that completes that. Now it's time to glue this bow into place, and that completes this cute little sign. I love how this turned out. And here is the end result. I love how all these DIYs turned out, and I used some color. Who am I? Now, let me know in the comments down below which one was your favorite DIY today. Give my video a thumbs up because that really helps my channel. And don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you on my next DIY. Bye!